Michael. Hey, Kim. Hey, Tony. And hello from Southern California, where the heat is on, but not in my neighborhood, which is a good thing.
Are you well? Are you safe? And everyone you love safe?
Yeah, it's not been an issue. I do know three couples that lost their homes in Altadena, and I'm sure so many other people have been um, tragically impacted by the fire. And my heart goes out to them. There are GoFundMe's. There are a number of concerts. Kim mentioned some high-profile musical artists doing some benefit concerts. There are smaller club events and club dates. There are World Central Kitchen food depositories and little eateries that are springing up all over the place. And there are places where you can donate food, clothing, toys, etc. You need only go online and take a peek to help people who are very much in need and facing a long haul to get back to where they should be. You know, Michael, it's the last weekend of American democracy. I don't know about you, but I'm going to party like it's 1776.
Yeah, well, go ahead and do it. I don't, bring the tea.
Yeah, I should do something. And speaking of the apocalypse, I think it's here. Yesterday, I spotted three Tesla Cybertrucks on the road during a 15-minute drive to Burbank. Three. Oh, my God. What is going on? I can't believe this.
No, it's amazing. My favorite Tesla Cybertruck story was that they found that raccoons were mistaking these Teslas as dumpsters, and they keep going inside, small raccoons, to try and find garbage because they think that they're dumpsters. I read this article about a week or so ago, which I thought was hysterical.
You know what? They look to be like, I don't know, like an eighth grader in 1962 decided to design the car of the future, and that's what he came up with,
Yeah, totally. That's great.
Anyway,
all right, let's go to making us numb, Michael Snyder, and have us turn away from fires and political conflagration and all of that.
I think that's a good idea. And what's better to distract you than a giant slavering wolf man attacking you? That'll get your mind off of these, political issues. Bang, bang.
Absolutely. Get a lot of money.
Yeah, okay. People are desperate for entertainment. Universal, by the way, I go into a movie like this with an open heart and an open mind because it's kind of my jam. Universal Pictures has had like a seeming monopoly on monsters, being the home studio for the most iconic versions of Dracula, Frankenstein and his monster, the Wolfman, the Mummy, the Invisible Man, the Creature from the Black Lagoon, and adjacent characters like, Count Dracula's lackey Renfield. And as such, the studio has, since the 1930s, put out updates and reboots and reimaginings of the monsters from decade to decade. So this weekend sees the latest Universal iteration of the Wolfman, who in past incarnations, including a 2010 version with Benicio del Toro that I really liked, is a man bitten by a ravenous werewolf and cursed to turn into one under the full moon. So the LA area screening of Wolfman 2025, and that's not its actual title, was pitted against the only LA screening of the Issa Rae produced comedy One of Them Days. I know Kim mentioned both movies in an earlier news report today, and I chose The Wolf over the Keke Palmer Sousa female buddy romp. But I mean, the night I saw it this past Monday was the night of the full moon, known as the Wolf Moon. I mean, I almost had to choose Wolfman. But from all the positive reports I've heard about One of Them Days, I may have made a bad choice. That said, Wolfman was directed by Lee Whannell, who helmed the very effective and clever update of The Invisible Man for Universal, which I thought that was really wonderful. And this guy also created the Saw horror film franchise with fellow filmmaker James Wan and worked on the Insidious movies with Wan. So he's got a pretty decent track record. So as a fan of monster movies and horror films, I went to Wolfman, and it wasn't bad. And we have a running joke lately on the Thompson Show. Not terrible. Michael Snyder, the Mark Thompson Show. Like on a poster somewhere. So this may be one of those movies. It has some interesting and appropriately gross moments. It boasts two good young actors as the male and female leads. Christopher Abbott is the guy. He was in Poor Things. He was great opposite another rising star, Margaret Qualley, in a two-hander called Sanctuary. He was in the Feeble Craven the Hunter movie, and he was also one of the boyfriends in HBO's Girls, the Lena Dunham sitcom. And he's playing opposite the great, I say she's great, I've loved everything she's done, Julia Garner of Netflix's Inventing Anna, from Ozark, The Americans, The Assistant, and soon she's going to be the Silver Surfer in Marvel's Fantastic Four First Steps. So we're talking about high-powered performers doing a horror movie, which introduced a few twists to the classic story of, is it called lycanthropy? I think that's what it's called. Anyway, it is far from a classic or a groundbreaker. But on the other hand, the script by Whannell and perhaps a few too many other screenwriters does try to delve into the familial issues and relationship psychodrama that lurk in the heart of Blake, Abbott's character, who is a San Francisco freelance writer and the husband of a successful journalist named Charlotte, played by Garner, and the father of a cute little daughter. Oh my God, do you want to endanger the cute little daughter? Of course you do. Anyway, there were interesting decisions on the tech side. For instance, the Wolfman design is more like slimy mutant man-wolf than a furry-faced, magically transformed wolf man. And there's much less CGI than one might expect. And the intro is rather chilling, as is the finale, although I could see one aspect of it coming down Universal City Walk, if you get what I'm saying here. But ultimately, it's more conventional and workmanlike and less memorable and original than Whannell's bracing Invisible Man. But if he's going to give another Universal monster a go, I would be curious to see what he does with the creature from the Black Lagoon. Wolfman's in theaters. If it's your cup of tea, it's not bad. It's just not, going to change the world and stick in your nightmares. Shall we move on? Let's see here.
Indeed. Let's move on.
Okay. There is a little too much talent and Sylvester Stallone attached to the action movie Alarum for this to be so bland and forgettable. There are guns blazing and numerous explosions for 95 minutes, but for all of the international espionage and assassins and black ops, this still comes off as chintzy in some places. Like, for instance, it's supposed to be an Eastern European town, and there are like English language signs here and there. I kind of think Ohio was standing in for Gdansk, Poland, and the surrounding Polish countryside. And speaking of Polish, this was directed by a guy named Michael Polish, who has a number of acting credits and directed Big Sur, which is a low-budget movie I liked about beat author Jack Kerouac of On the Road fame. So our leads are Scott Eastwood, Clint's boy, as an ex-American secret agent named Joe Travers, who encounters and eventually marries Laura, a nubile and coolly efficient assassin played by Willa Fitzgerald. So good. She was amazing in last year's Strange Darling, highly recommended, among my top 10 films of 2024. Here, she's given very little to work with. So this couple fall in love, go off the grid, and don't want anything to do with the espionage business anymore. But Joe's old bosses think he might have gone over to a rogue agency called Alarum, so he has to be tracked down and eliminated, of course. That job seems to go to a killer mercenary type played by Mike Colter, who you may know from Marvel's Luke Cage series and the current supernatural thing on Netflix, Evil. He's always wonderful. But here he's not given much to do but, be a bastard. We don't know what his agenda is, but he's coming after the couple as well. And meanwhile, Chester, love the name, played by Stallone, is Joe's former partner, who is also called in to eliminate Joe and Laura. So everybody is shooting at everybody else for 95 minutes. It just doesn't have much to it. Alarum disappointed me because, like horror movies, I have a passion for espionage films. In both cases, I was like, but I mean, Wolfman at least is decent. This was pretty much a waste of time. It's in select theaters and available for streaming on demand if you want to check it out. And come on, Willa Fitzgerald, you're so good. We need you to be in something as good as Strange Darling next, and we'll see what her agents arrange for her.
You know what,
Moving on.
Michael Snyder, just let me say, it might not be very good, but that Scott Eastwood is a pretty good looking guy.
Well, yes, he's hunky. He's Clint's
Yeah.
boy, and I know that there's a certain aspect of casting that keeps that in mind. You know, they're going to
Yeah.
put somebody in there with a nice square jaw and what have you. But honestly, can't you just, you should probably just watch some other hunk. I'm telling you, this was a disappointment to me.
Oh, okay.
And not
Here's a movie
bring it back to
that seemed. Go ahead. I'm sorry. You said.
politically, now that you know that Sylvester Stallone is one of Donald Trump's ambassadors to Hollywood, just to, kind of making our little world meld a little bit more.
Another reason to not watch the movie. Anyway, that said, I mean, Clint's politics didn't affect my appreciation of Juror Number 2, which I thought was quite good. But, give Eastwood, the younger, a better role, a better movie. And again, I like Michael Polish's Big Sur. Don't get me wrong. I really did. All right, this is a movie that seems that it was designed for you, Kim, but another disappointment. Wish You Were Here is a film adaptation of a best-selling novel of love and loss by Renee Carlino. It's also the directorial debut of the respected actress Julia Stiles, and she co-wrote the script with Carlino. It stars the young actress Isabel Fuhrman, who got her start in the really strange horror movie Orphan, and most recently, as kind of a grown young woman, was quite good in The Novice. And here she plays Charlotte, a waitress in modern-day New York who has a chance encounter with a street artist, a good-looking kind of glib guy played by Mina Massoud, and falls for him during a one-night stand. But the artist has a secret that will turn their potential love affair into a star-crossed heartbreaker. Break out the Kleenexes. Anyway, to invoke a few previous movies that had similar plots or circumstances would be to kind of spoil Wish You Were Here for any would-be viewers. So I will only note that it reminded me a bit of The Fault in Our Stars, which I did think was corny, but struck me as a better movie. By the way, Jennifer Grey and Kelsey Grammer are on board as Charlotte's somewhat patient parents, and it's got its heart in the right place. It just didn't have enough to it. It didn't kind of pop the way it should, but I do believe Stiles has some skill as a director, and I'm curious to see what she does next. It's not terrible. Again, not terrible. The Michael Snyder reviews on Mark Thompson's show. It is in select theaters. Wish You Were Here seems more like something you may kind of want to tune into when it's available on streaming, but again, none of these three movies is all that good. And you may be saying to yourself, why Michael? Why even? Don't you have anything for us? Isn't there any quality out there? Yeah, there is, and we have to go out of the country to find it this weekend. First off, I want to talk about one of my favorite films of 2024, now available in select theaters. It's called I'm Still Here. It is the latest from the award-winning director Walter Salles, who did City of God, The Motorcycle Diaries, Central Station, and get this, another Kerouac callback, the movie of On the Road that was done a number of years ago. Quite good. And this is up to his usual high standards. It's called I'm Still Here, and it deals with something that is all too common in autocracies. So get ready, everybody. The Disappeared. So it's based on a memoir. I'm Still Here is the title of both the memoir and the film, and it's an historical drama that opens in 1970 and concerns a well-to-do Brazilian family's response to the father, Rubens Paiva, a deputy in the Brazilian government and a dissident in opposition to the current administration there, suddenly being picked up by sinister agents and spirited away with no explanation. So with dad now missing and the country in political upheaval, it's up It's up to Eunice, his wife, and the mother of his children, and an activist herself, to try and find him and bring him home, or failing that, learn his fate. I'm Still Here is not only an excoriation, that's a ding word, of political corruption and a nation that loses its way. and a passionate look at a determined woman motivated by love and righteousness. It's a portrait of a family in crisis, and beautifully done. And it's a brilliant showcase for the actress, Fernanda Torres, as Eunice, wife, mother, and kind of a force of nature when it comes to protecting her clan. Torres just won the Golden Globe for Best Actress, so hopefully she'll get some acknowledgement when Oscar rolls around. But I don't care. This was great. It's in Portuguese with English subtitles. It is in select theaters. I'm still here. High quality. And we'll wrap things up on.
Michael, one of the viewers, Michael D, says, Michael, are you quietly announcing this as, quote, leave the country weekend?
I don't know. I'm too rooted here. You know, I live in the Free Republic of California. I'm hoping, worst comes to worst, that we link up with Oregon, Washington, and Canada, and have our own little separate thing happening. That's the worst case scenario in my book. But in the meantime, no, we can watch these foreign films here in the States. So get ready for the last of the 5 films we're spotlighting today, and that would be a film with the title Santosh. And Santosh is an odd duck. It is England's submission for Best Foreign Film Oscar because it is largely in Hindi. And so consequently, you know, I guess they fudged the rules a little bit, but it is shot in India. It's shot by an Indian filmmaker. And nonetheless, England has put it forth as their foreign film submission. It's a really cool thing. India's caste system is central to Santosh. It's a procedural thriller about a woman enlisted into the police force when she inherits her husband's job as a constable in the rural north of the country after his death on the job during some riots. Now, one of the reasons she agrees to do it, and I've never heard this, you've inherited your late spouse's job. What kind of way is that to run a government? I don't know. Anyway, I guess it happens in the Trump administration, right? But anyway, she agrees to do it because she will otherwise lose the home she shared with her husband, which was provided due to his position with the police. So while on the job, she is brought in to investigate the murder of a low-caste girl in a nearby village. And she is overseen by a feminist inspector named Sharma, who has some sort of agenda going on. And the question is whether they're going to investigate by the book, whether, you know, the low caste village is either beyond their purview or too unimportant to give full police attention to. There's a lot of bigoted attacks from caste to caste in the movie. And I have to say, the actress who plays the newly widowed Santosh, Shoshana Goswami, is absolutely fantastic here. And, you know, when we think of procedurals, we think of Law and Order. Well, this is Law and Order India, and it's really a powerful and entertaining film worth checking out. There are moments when English is spoken, as is the case on the Indian subcontinent, but it is largely in a foreign tongue with English subtitles. If you can deal with that, so be it. But, you know, whether you speak Hindi or not, Santosh kicked ass. A good film.
Fantastic. And we have a couple of fun responses to some of these. I think it was somebody wrote, I think it was Rich, I don't know, wrote George Santosh. No, that was Trevor wrote George Santosh, and so did Rick. And then
that's a lie, Michael. That's a lie. Wait, if it's George Santos, it's certainly a lie, right?
That's right. That's exactly right. Tammy Stansel had a great one too when you were talking about "Wish You Were Here." She wrote, "Just two lost souls swimming in a fishbowl." A little Pink
Cute.
Floyd callback to "Wish You Were Here." So I like that.
That's fair, actually. So quickly, some TV suggestions. I'm a big fan of Harlan Coben, the novelist, and I've liked a lot of the movies and miniseries made from his novels. And he inked the deal with Netflix a few years ago to turn a bunch of his books into miniseries. And the latest dropped a couple weeks ago. It's called Missing You. Kind of like the schlocky John Waite power ballad, which, by the way, does figure into the story. It's fun, and increasingly addictive, and what the hell is going to happen next way, but it is nowhere near as good as last year's Coben offering, Fool Me Once. 2021's Stay Close are my favorite of his Netflix productions. 2020's The Stranger, all of which I recommend over Missing You, but this is okay. If you have the time, his stuff is fun. I also wanted to, basically give a long wished nod to Day of the Jackal on Peacock. It is an update of the Frederick Forsyth intrigue espionage novel, which has spawned at least one well-regarded movie about the hunt for a cunning and ruthlessly efficient assassin. This series is really, really good, and it stars a very familiar actor as the Jackal himself, and that would be Eddie Redmayne, who is really wonderful. Lashana Lynch as the MI5, MI6 agent in the UK who decides it's her mission to bring him down. And Lashana Lynch was, of course, in the recent Daniel Craig James Bond movie as the agent who took over the 007 number. She's been in Captain Marvel and a few other Marvel projects. She's wonderful. It's really, really good. Charles Dance, the esteemed British character actor, plays a wealthy and amoral man who basically hires the Jackal to take care of some of his business, including targeting an Elon Musk type tech guy. So, there's a certain bit of Schadenfreude, watching something like this, maybe, but maybe not. I recommend The Day of the Jackal. It is quite good. And just to sort of wrap things up, I kind of want to mention a TV series I was a little reluctant to jump into because I thought maybe I'm suffering from overkill, and that would be Star Wars Skeleton Crew. And it's the story of 4 kids who are looking for their home planet after they get free. They steal a ship on their planet. They break the barrier that's protecting the planet, and then they're out into the wilds of space during one of the Star Wars eras. I believe it's post Return of the Jedi, but maybe not. I don't know. I don't have a concordance in front of me. But what it is essentially, as they go out there and then try to get back home, is the Goonies in space. And in a wonderful heel turn performance, Jude Law plays a guy who may be a Jedi, may be a criminal, who gets hooked up with these kids in their attempt to get back home. It is part of the John Watts, Christopher Ford creative team, and Jon Favreau is involved, the guy who has overseen a lot of these Star Wars TV shows to great effect. I thought it was really a lot of fun. It is already up in its entirety at Disney Plus, and I think we should wrap it up right there. What do you say?
That sounds good, Michael. A lot of good stuff and stuff that isn't terrible to watch as well. Teacher Lori G said the Harlan Coben book adaptations on Netflix are good. Coben is producer on them, so has influences in the making of them. And then there was something from A Golf Twitler who says David Lynch was carried away on a rainbow. May he rest in peace. And
yeah, absolutely. I'm not averse to just mentioning in passing Mr. Lynch, because I do think, in my position, it's the kind of thing that maybe I should address. I know that you guys mentioned it earlier in the week. This guy was such an independent, so original, kind of homespun, right? And freaky. Writer director David Lynch, his movies were like dreams, and you got to think, how does a guy like this get so much success and acclaim? But he deserved it all, and his TV opus Twin Peaks actually it caught the imagination of the country for a time, and people became obsessed with the murder mystery plot and the weirdly colorful characters. This guy was somebody special, and he is missed. And I dug him and his filmography big time, and he had real kind of strange, offbeat personal charm. If you ever saw him interviewed, David Lynch, rest in peace.
And Teacher Laurie also said you can find his music on Apple Music as well. So Michael Snyder, thank you. You can find Michael at thevoicesf.org. And like we say, he did come in on a rainbow. He also goes.
See you later, everybody. Go Warriors.
Hi, it's Mark, and I thought that was great. Hit the notification bell. You'll know whenever there's a new video being dropped, and please subscribe to our channel to help us save the universe.